Hey you guys, what is up? I hope everyone is doing well out there. Okay, so today I want to talk about what's been going on with Dalai Lama. I didn't hear about it till just like a couple of days ago. And I wanted to get on yesterday to talk about it, but I was still like super emotional about the whole ordeal. So I was like, okay, so let me just wait a minute. Because I don't want to come on, like just angry and and not being objective to the entire situation. I have a lot of ninth house transits going on, and it's been happening for a while. And like recently I was like, you know what, I need to find other astrologers like out of the United States, and I need to like find journalists that are out of the United States. Like I feel like I'm like kind of in a bubble, right? I live in America, and all I ever hear about mostly is America and the perspective of Americans. Like I never really understood why like other countries would say like, they dislike America and they don't like our ways and we're always interfering, things like that. But I never like took the time to really look it up. But I found an astrologer. Her name is Suzanne Hopkinson, and she's out of the UK. And I really, really like her perspective. And she also has been in geopolitics for like the last 40 years. So she also includes not just, just astrology, but also like, the politics of it as well, and how the world sees politics, right? Not just from the American perspective, but from, people in different countries and how they see things and what goes on there. And it's been really just eye-opening for me. And I also started following some journalists from like different countries, right? Syria, like in the Middle East, from France, and also getting their views and learning about what's going on in their countries. And then I look at my YouTube feeds and my Twitter feeds, and people don't really talk about it. I mean, all I see is like American-based news and what's going on here or what the media wants to tell you here. And it's interesting. But, now that I follow these other people, like I get like a wider scope of what's going on around the world. So a couple of days ago, she posted a video about, the Dalai Lama. And I was like, what? Like, I've followed him since I think 2011-ish, around that time when I discovered him. And I followed him, throughout the years. I mean, not just like surface level things. Like I really, have incorporated a lot of his beliefs into mine because it resonates with me. And he's helped me grow like tremendously as far as like the way I think and how I present myself to the world, and he's helped me not be so angry and not so like reactive. But most people, they see the quotes, they see the poses, and that's really their level of knowledge of him. So what he's being accused of, I was like, shit. Getting me? Like, we hear that and then we think like to like the Catholic Church, like this is what we associate it with, right? Like these religious people and how they do these evil things, right? They're like a wolf in sheep's clothing, and that is the truth. That's a lot of what happens. But the thing is, not everyone is like that, and it's hard for people to like when they see a headline, right, and they see clips and everything's taken out of context, and then you just run with it, not really knowing what the facts are, not really doing the research, not really like trying to understand what's going on. Like we will just run with it, like, oh, here's another like religious person who turns out to be a freaking pedophile, right? Hiding behind, God or the Buddha, Allah, like, and I'm guilty of it myself. Like in the past, like I would jump the gun before I actually did my research, and I definitely learned, through time, like that is not the responsible thing to do, because you can ruin someone's life. You can like just promote so much negativity, and there's so much fake news and all these false narratives that go on around the world, and we jump on this train, and we just go with it because we're not really allowing ourselves to like have an open mind and have an open heart. We're being narrow-minded because we stand by our beliefs because we're on this team. And I've been that way for most of my adult life when it comes to politics, like the Democratic Party. Like I'm guilty, and I know better now, But a lot of people still don't know better, unfortunately, because when I started like looking up, hashtags on this whole thing, a lot of people, especially in the West, were just like the comments, I'm like, fuck, like it was insane. It was insane. And I'm like, these people I don't think they did the research, because if you did, then you may not be so quick to judge like that. But if you look on YouTube, there's protests going on all around the world right now. Okay, tons of videos, right, giving you facts, and I could list them on here for you, right? But then it would be biased of me, because I personally don't believe the narrative that was being pushed by the Chinese media and the Chinese government. I don't believe it. So I'm not going to list them on here for you, because if you really want to know, then you can find them yourself. You take the time and find it yourself. But this is where critical play comes into the picture, right? I'm not a journalist, but to some extent, we kind of all are, right? For those of us who are truth seekers, we want to know the truth. We don't fall into headlines. We don't see something on Twitter and we, decide to judge someone. We don't just watch the news and take their word for it, Like truth seekers are actually really journalists, like in our own way. And with ChatGPT right now, I mean, it's the fact that it will freaking lie to you. So that, oh my God, makes it even harder for us to find the facts. But here are just some of the basics, right? Like, do you know the history with the Chinese government and Tibet? Do you know that the Chinese government, they don't like the Dalai Lama? Do you know that? And do you know why? Right now, they're in search for the next one because he's like 87. So, I mean, the Chinese government, they want to be able to pick their own, one that will fall in line. That's what it all comes down to. Okay, the Chinese government, they've been trying to wash away the Tibetan culture for like who knows how long. That is a fact also. And just remember, like, not everything you see is true. They can put like artifacts in museums saying that the Tibetans did this and that, blah, blah. How do you know it's true, right? Like, how do I know it's true or not? I don't, right? All you can do is talk to the Tibetan people, the people who have lived through the horror and what's going on to this very day, okay, with the people. And just look at the protests. If it was true that the Tibetans were, quote unquote, like not good people and their ways are just disgusting, and kind of like what Hitler said about the Jews. We need to cleanse the earth of these people and their religion and their ways, because, you know what I mean? That's exactly like the same thing, right? Think about all the genocides. Why did they happen? A lot of it is just, you have this this psychopath, right, along with all his little minions who are also psychopaths that want to take control. They want power, control over the people. Like the genocide that happened to like Cambodians, right? Their own people, like their Khmer Rouge's own people, killed like 1.5 to 2 million of their own people because they wanted a communist country. They killed everybody that was like educated because they didn't think that they would follow their ways. So what did they do? They killed them all. They rounded them all up and their children, and they killed them all. Massive graves, and they enslaved all the people. For what? Because they wanted to freaking rule. They wanted their ways because they believed that their ways were the right way. And in the name of their God or whatever, it was their reason for killing innocent people, thousands and millions. It's countless. You want to talk about Native Americans, like it's all the same shit. And it's just like we have the proof. It's there, even though through the decades it's been watered down and the narrative has changed, even in our textbooks and what our children are learning. It's like, God, we need to like remember that we're sovereign beings. We have our own minds. We have the capabilities to do our own due diligence. And critical thinking is taught in schools, but I think to a very small degree. You know, if anything, like, you know, parents, like, it's our responsibility to just teach our kids to like not be sheep, but be an individual, and to be open-minded and always willing to learn, and always be willing to admit when you're wrong and grow from it. So that is why the Chinese government is after him. I mean, this video happened like in February, like this, you know, like it was like you know, it was like a get together. It was streamed online. There was a lot of people there. The boy's mom was there. It was not a big deal, but you know, a couple months later, like, you know, they found this one thing and they doctored it, right? They did edits and these clips, and they ran with it. And the celebrities and the ones that are paid, because a lot of our celebrities are paid. Okay, even American celebrities, y'all fucking paid. Okay, like, just like with, we won't even get to the American politics, okay? But they're paid. Media outlets are paid. Okay, they're on the side, and all their fans, people that follow them, you know, the sheep. But I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, because we're all sheep. We're all sheep at one point in our lives. But they took these clips, and it was like the perfect, like, gosh, like they found like a gold nugget, right? And they have been very successful with defaming him. And I'm still frustrated, and it still upsets me, and I see all the pain, and I just, but again, like Suzanne said, she says straight out, like, you don't want to idolize anybody, okay? Because a lot of times they will let you down. I mean, just because, you know, they're viewed as like this great thing doesn't mean that they really are. Like, you can't be blind to it. Like, you have to be discerning. You really shouldn't look up to anybody. And that's the thing. Like, before I even like said anything or like put my opinions out there, I actually watched the entire video. Okay, and I actually did even more research into the Chinese government, right, and what they've done to the Tibetan people, and to what they're still doing now to this very day. And I looked at like the news outlets, right, who controls it, and like some of the social media influencers, and like who they are, and like their past statements and things that they believe, right? Like I started digging, and even looked at like the videos that were like, yeah, it's true and, you know, saying all kinds of things about him, but there was not a lot of backing to that. It was just video clips and kind of like opinions. Whereas there's tons of videos about the Dalai Lama that people have said they've known him through the years for decades. He's never ever once showed anything like that. There's no scandals, and if you've seen him, I mean, for those of us that follow him, we know that he's super, like, he's a jokester and he's funny and he's extremely playful. Like the clip with Lady Gaga, right? People were saying like, oh, if she didn't stop and put her hand there, where would he go? Like, what the fuck? Like, she's wearing ripped jeans, okay? In Asian cultures, you don't wear ripped jeans if you're only if you're poor. You have holy clothes, right? And to older, like, Asians, like, they don't understand. Like, it's like I wear ripped jeans, right? And they're like, what the? They don't get it. And I pay a lot of money for my ripped jeans too, and they don't get it. And to them, it's funny, it's amusing. So he's like tickling her on her knee, right? And then he takes his hand, watch closely, and he puts it on her hand, right? Because he's joking with her. It's funny. There's nothing wrong with affection. Like, y'all want affection, but then when people give it, you guys are like, it's not okay. So he puts his hand on her hand, then she puts her hand back on his hand. She's also showing affection and love towards him. But then people are like, oh my God, it's crazy. When are we being too affectionate? Like, when is it not okay? You know, or like, when is it okay or not? I don't know. Like, you know, goes back to like, you know, how men, like some countries, it's okay for men to like say I love you. It's okay for men to hug. You know, even some countries they hold hands, and you're not like, oh my God, like, obviously I don't have anything against, you know, being gay. Obviously I'm from the LGBT community, but like, it's not looked at that way. Like being affectionate, like in, like, what is it, like, I think France, right? Like they kiss on the lips or something, or is it the other way? There's a culture where you kiss on the lips and it's not a big deal. It's like that's how they greet people. But in other countries, like you're a stranger, you're not kissing me on the lips. But in their country, like, it's not a big deal. So it's like cultural ignorance. You know, granted, like, there are some things that are just, let's say example, like in China, 14 is the legal age of consent. Even in some states in America, 16 is the legal age of consent. I don't agree with it. I mean, there are some things that we don't agree with, we don't think are okay, but at the same time, we don't know what it's like there. We don't live there. Like, we just don't know. Just like in the Middle East, like how women cover themselves up, right? Like the younger generation, they're not okay with it. But a lot of the older generation, they are. That's just their belief. And I can't really judge or say anything about it because I'm from a whole different culture. So I'm going to see it, you know, from a different perspective. But it's one thing to like have beliefs that are rooted from love, right? From a place where it's not of malice, it's not of evil. And there's another side to where it's like, it is evil. They're doing it for control. They're doing it because they believe that you don't have rights. And they're doing it because they want control. So it's up to us to just be a little bit just more discerning and, you know, understanding and more compassionate. Because I think a lot of it is cultural ignorance, right? From the people who don't know the Dalai Lama and they don't understand. Like, he's also like self-taught in English. Like, my mom will say things because her English is broken. She'll say things. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and then she means they say something else, right? Like when he said, like, suck my tongue, right? He meant to say eat my tongue because, you know, in their culture, it's like when you're grandkids, like they want candy from you, right? And the grandparents, like, they give you candy and they ask for more. You don't have any more. And they're like, and also sticking out their tongue is like a sign of like respect, kind of, as well, right? To show love and vulnerability. So the grandparents stick out your tongue and like, eat my tongue. Like, I have no more, but I will give you everything that I have. That's their culture. So what? I don't want you to fucking eat my tongue, right? I'm heckin' germophobic as it is. I don't like even to share my drinks with my son. So, again, like, I don't know. If people would just take the time, right? Just to take the time, take a breath, take a beat before you go like gung-ho about something and totally just like try to destroy someone's reputation, because it's hurtful. It's very hurtful. And the Dalai Lama did come out and he made a statement. And that's probably the only video I'm gonna link on here for you guys to see. Okay? He says to the media that you need to be honest, unbiased, and objectfful. And he wants you to do thorough investigation. He has no qualms about that. He's like, do it. Because he says the truth is the truth. So do it. Because it'll come out. It'll come out. Whatever the truth is going to come out. Whether he is guilty or he's not, it's going to come out. So he has nothing to hide. Yeah, and I just really hope that people, once it does come out, I mean, and people who accuse them, like, I understand, because like I said, I've been guilty of it as well, but we need to hold the media accountable. And remember, do not believe everything that you see on the internet, okay, on your television. Don't believe it. Okay, you have every right to question. You don't have to pick a side. Don't let them brainwash you, because damn, the dark, the evil, they are just everywhere. They're all like the Matrix. A lot of people don't like the Matrix, right? Because they don't really understand it. But if you really want to understand how the world works here on this plane, on this dimension, like, we are in the Matrix. And these entities constantly attacking us, constantly wanting our attention, constantly just feeding off of us. And also, what happened with the Ralph Uriel child, like that kid. I saw it and I was like, holy shit. Like, my heart like went out to his mom. Automatic. Like, I didn't know the story. Again, like, I didn't say anything until I knew like the entire story. I didn't pop off. I wanted to see like why would this man do something like that? Like, he felt threatened for his life. Okay, I wanted to know what happened. What did the kid do to make you feel threatened? Because he's 84, so all his faculties might not be there. And the lawyer said, like, well, our president and our former president, like, they're around that age and they're fine. Joe Biden is not fine. Okay, he is not fine. But my mom's 69, and like, her at 84, like, her like, she's not gonna be like, Donald Trump. She won't be at his level mentally or physically. But yeah, I waited to see. The boy does not ring the doorbell, and he's waiting for his brothers. He didn't yell. He didn't try to enter. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't being like erratic or anything. He's rang the doorbell, and the dude came out and shot him twice. So for a fact, it's race plays a part. I don't want that to be like the go-to or anything, but facts are the facts. Like, You know, people think being black is like a threat. That's just a fact. And the old man, you know, felt threatened because he saw this black dude on his porch. You know, and him being that age is probably like, too. So it's so sad, you know, like I just can't imagine, like, and the thing is like, you know, he's like, they show that he's a good kid, and he's, you know, like the mom says, right, like their biggest, she says like teenagers are teenagers, but their biggest argument is whether or not he's going to do his English homework or work on his music sheet, right? It's automatically, you know, what kind of kid he is. But let's say he was a kid that got into trouble, who did school, who wasn't a steady student. Does that matter? Because all the boy did was ring the doorbell and waited outside. No, he wasn't, you know, being like inappropriate or anything. Anyway, you just rang the doorbell and you got shot for it. I wasn't a freaking shreddy student. I wasn't, and I got into trouble. So does that mean like it's okay for you to shoot at me because of that? When I'm just standing there waiting for my brothers to come out? No, it's not okay. So regardless. But anyways, so yes, please, I'm gonna link that video. That's the statement that the Dalai Lama made. And please just try to be, for those that are questioning this, just please do your own research from both sides. Just look into the history if it's important to you, because a lot of people don't even care. Because even today, like my YouTube feed and my Twitter feed and everything else, none of it shows anything about this. None of it. Or like all the stuff going on in France, like you don't really see it here in America. The Syria bombings, you don't see it here in America. And that's another thing, like, you know, us in America, we live in a bubble. There's so much going on outside in the world that we just don't know. And like, I kind of didn't understand this ninth house transit of mine. I'm like, what is the point? And I'm like I want other things in my life to get going and to move. But it really is like a major thing. You know, I may not be traveling all over the world and see different cultures, but I can find it in other ways. And that's what I'm doing. And it's really opening my eyes to a lot of things. So I think that's pretty awesome. Anyways, so that's it for now. And I'm sending love to everybody and all the pain right now. And like, I'm there with you. And I just really hope that people next time they just remember that your words are hurtful, right? Like, too many people violently express themselves. Too many people judge. Not enough love, not enough compassion. You know, not enough kindness. So if we can just do more of that, you know, more of us would heal. The world would heal more. So, and we definitely need it right now. So take care, you guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.